Okay, so I've knitted the chart and then I've returned to the main colour as the pattern suggests. There were 2 sets of increases, in the main colour, both of 2 stitches in each case, and that was one that I just did with, again, knitting into the front and back of the same stitch, as I showed before. Just a quick note, I talked about the increases. The increases were 6 stitches over the round in each case, and there was 1 increase here in the chart and 1 increase roughly here in the chart, so at row 9 and row 21. Okay, and again, you can just take the number of stitches in the round and divide it, obviously, and then you can work out how many you have to leave in between each increase, and keep a note as you go along. Okay, so now it's time to put these stitches on a stitch holder, and the pattern tells us to put the first 3 onto a piece of yarn, so I'm going to do that just with a fairly blunt needle. I probably want a bit blunter than this, so I'll have to be a bit careful. I'm just going to put this needle through the stitches, just like that. Pull it through, so that's the last 3 of the round and the first 3 of the next round. I think we're going to have a little visitor in a minute, my cat. Hello, cat. Sorry about that. Right, and so then we've got those 6 stitches either side of the stitch marker, and I'm just going to tie that in a knot. Just like this. It's not rocket science, there we go. And then the next thing we need to do is to put the rest of it on a stitch holder. Now, move yourself. There we go. So you could use another needle. I don't actually have another needle of the right size. You could use a needle that has a smaller gauge than the needle you're knitting, so 2, 3, something like that. You don't want to use a needle that is larger than the gauge you're knitting. The reason is that it will stretch the stitches as you leave it. Off you go. There we go. She's a very friendly cat. Okay, so I'm not going to do all of this for you, but I'm just going to show you. She wants to sit on my lap because I've been away all weekend. There we go. So you just put them on like that. Come on, come on. You put them on like that. Okay, and you just sort of slip them off the end. Do as many as you can. And you can see that this is just going to go round like that, and I'll be able to fit all those stitches on, and then just close my needle like that. Okay, and then I just put them to one side, and I'm going to start knitting the body. Okay, and if you've done this, you should be pretty pleased with yourself. Just a note, I always try and knit fairly loosely so that I don't get any gatherings when I move from the coloured stranded section, so the Fair Arstach section, to this section. Typically people use a gauge that is a bit sort of tauter for this section than this, and that can cause gatherings. You just have to be particularly aware of that. So you got to the end of your chart, and just make sure you're not too tight when you come here. That can cause a little bit of looseness in some of the stitches, and there is a little bit of unevenness, but I never worry too much about that because I think the overall effect is still pretty nice and very Swedish. So thanks very much. Bye.